but he was there beside me, and my love for him was just immense.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/ourstories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Okay, kids, Dad's gonna teach you how to dance. First, spread your feet apart. Then, pump your knee, nod your head, shake your hips, and bite your lip ever so slightly. Now, with one hand in the air, point at people with the other hand. I call that the rock star.
Dance like a dad. It's a great way to make a moment with your kids.
Now, make a face like it just smells something bad.
Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Year last year, Jason Martin. Unbelievable the turnaround of this program. So,
yeah. Look again. Hey, look, it's two more Big Ten teams that played a game where I'm like, Michigan's not for real either. Michigan, Penn State.
Let's get it started. Let's get it started.
Welcome in, Husker fans. This is the Husker Afterparty Postgame Show. Coming at you live from the Koppel Chevrolet GMC studios in the heart of Lincoln, America. The Husker Afterparty Postgame Show is brought to you by Southeast Community College and Street Drive-In, Lincoln Federal Savings Bank. Now, here is your host, Connor Happer.
We live in a world of eternal pain and sadness. And there is no escape from this, only by death. And that is the life we have chosen for ourselves, apparently as Nebraska football fans in the 21st century. And welcome to the Husker Afterparty Postgame Show here on 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. Connor Happer, Jake Bachhoven with you this evening as Nebraska loses to Michigan 32-29 this evening. It was punctuated by a Adrian Martinez fumble with about a minute and a half left in the game that led to a Michigan field goal with, 10 seconds less than that. And Nebraska then drove their final drive, got into a fourth down, threw a jump ball up with, the 2-minute offense has not been very fun for Nebraska this year. And it's been a factor in all four of their losses, all four of which by one score or less this year. And here we are. We're with you again this evening after Nebraska loses in front of a magnificent crowd and really a magnificent effort. We're going to talk a lot about a lot of different things that were good tonight for Nebraska. Really, really a lot of different things that were good. There was not too many holes to poke in this one. They played a pretty good game tonight. Certainly good enough to win against the number 8 team in the country. Just weren't able to pull it out. We want to get to you guys, 402-464-5685. Join us on the Husker Afterparty Postgame Show. You can call us on the phones at that number. You can comment on the stream, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Welcome everybody there. You can text into the Starter Heyman text line, 402-464-5685. Bach, before we get to the phone lines.
The reaction, I suppose. Yeah, it's tough. It's another close loss. I think Nebraska fans obviously getting tired of the close but no cigar effort here. And it's frustrating, and there's a lot to go over. The officiating was awful, not just for Nebraska, but also for the opposing side, Michigan, at this time in this game too. So just frustrating on a lot of levels, but at the same time, I would urge fans to stick with it. I still think this is the best Scott Frost has had his program running. I think the offense looked pretty good tonight against the Michigan defense that, obviously got shut out in the first half, but that third quarter was magic. And it's going to be tough to beat a top 10 opponent or any of these undefeated opponents. I know there's only like 10 of them left in the country. Nebraska's 3 of their 4 losses are to those teams, and they were that close to winning each of them. And then the other thing is I just want to tell everybody, don't pile on Adrian Martinez. It just, I think for everybody, just kind of lost their words, lost their breath when it happened. Because I mean, that guy is a true fighter. Had a heck of a night. Nebraska's not in these games, any of them, without Adrian Martinez, and it just seems like, again, couldn't happen at a worse time. That fumble, I mean, that's going to probably rival and beat his one of his worst turnovers of all time, because it was just that close.
I can't really believe it. I know people are probably going to call into this post-game show and say, how could you not believe it? He turns the ball over. It's what he does. He's been pretty damn good at not doing that this year. I thought there was a chance that play could have been blown dead. As they were pushing forward, he was still, I suppose, moving forward a little bit, and that's why they didn't call it. The refs, after a horrendous first half, really laid off in the second half, which was good, or the teams gave them reason to kind of lay off. And just the absolute wrong thing to happen at the absolute wrong time. And it ended up in the game-winning field goal, and Nebraska losing at the hands of Michigan, and what was just an unbelievable atmosphere tonight at Memorial Stadium. You had the world of college football thinking, oh man, this is a really fun game. Nebraska looks like they kind of have their crap together here, and just fall a little bit short. We want to get to you guys as always, and so hit us up, Honda of Lincoln Hotline, 402-464-5685. We're here as long as you want us to be here, but let's take a phone call to start things off tonight from Craig. Craig, good evening. How are you?
Just fine. Adrian Martinez does not need his name and image likeness money, the NLI. He's got the Hera, Caesars, Flamingo money for just dropping the ball and coughing it up again. And Scott Frost, same thing. Bad decision. Go for 3 early in the game, 4th and 2, 4th and 3. Choke job. Whole team.
Thanks, Craig. See ya.
And I understand the frustration. I mean, it's frustrating. It's happening week after week, to where Nebraska, you feel like they have that opportunity, and you're just kind of waiting for the moment to happen. And I just didn't see it. I took my eyes off of the television because I thought the play would have been blown dead pretty soon, or that it was done at that point. But I understand the frustration. Again, try not to pile on to these guys, because I do think that they're close, and I know close isn't good enough, but it's better than where Nebraska's been. And I suppose it's up to you whether that's enough progress for you. But
I mean, we could go back to that the first series of the game, and retroactively, I mean, obviously you would have liked to have the 3 points because they lost by 3, but I like the aggressiveness of the call to go for a touchdown on the first drive of the game, make a statement. And obviously it's very easy to say, hey, look, Nebraska lost by 3. You would have liked to have those 3 points on the board. It's not always how it goes, by the way. The game turns out a different way, whatever.
Yeah. Michigan decided to go for 2 and missed 1. So, chasing points, it wouldn't have added up the same.
I think that'll be a theme on tonight's postgame show with what happened on that first series. I liked the move out of the gate, and that's as best as we could do, I think.
Well, you know what? And to be honest, I mostly always like that move, because if you fail, they have to drive 94 yards,
especially
to score on you.
After chunking. I think you had a 41-yard screen pass to Ramir Johnson to kind of set you up for that in the first drive. Like you punch that thing in, you're rolling. It's a really great start. It's honestly reminiscent of the start that you had last week against Northwestern. They just weren't able to punch the ball in, because Michigan's defense is pretty good. That's a fast defense. Nebraska adjusted. Adrian Martinez was awesome in the second half. Going into that last drive, they flashed it up on the screen. I think it was 11 of 12 with 3 touchdowns for Adrian in the second half.
Probably somewhere around there.
Yeah.
He really took off in the second half, because he didn't have any touchdowns in the first half, and he ended up with 4. Three passing and 1 on the ground.
They put the ball in his hands, and he really came up big, with the exception of the last play there, which is going to be a tough one to swallow for everybody, including him. Back to the phones here. We got John on the line. Hey, John.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Hey, pretty good.
Another gut-wrenching loss. I see it. We're there. We got to figure out how to stop shooting ourselves in the foot. Adrian played a great game. I would have thought that eventually he would have been down on that play, but you keep on moving, you keep on going forward. The play it is not going to stop, and the defense probably didn't play their best game that they have been. I thought they were a little bit but they played well enough to win. All phases I thought played well enough. We just somehow can't finish a game.
Yeah, man.
I like to see the improvement. We are a very good team. I mean, we are very close to only having maybe one loss, but that doesn't really cut it right now. I mean, we're sitting there at 3-4. We are who we are. So I got, guys.
John, thanks for the call. And yeah, I mean, that's where I'll sympathize with both sides, because it's hard to hear that they are a good team, because on one hand, I feel like they are. I mean, you want to see progress. Look at what this Michigan team did to Nebraska 3 years ago. It was a lot different. On the other hand, at a certain point, progress isn't enough, and you got to win some of these. They are abysmal in one-score games. Some of that is due to what they do throughout the course of the game. Some of it, when it comes down to this year, has been due to them not being able to really put much of a drive together when down and having a chance to win, or crucial mistakes. I mean, we talked about this 2 weeks ago with the Michigan State game, but if you take a screenshot with 3 minutes and you got the ball and you're moving it pretty well. You hit the ball to, I think, Touré to get a first down, and you're really just trying to get over the line. Or I think Johnson maybe had a nice run before that. Can't quite put it all together. They run together on the last two drives, but and then just you fumble the football. I can't put this in the shoot yourself in the foot category all that much. It's just because it wasn't going that way for Nebraska. Obviously, that was the one thing that kind of put it over the edge at the end, and that's what we're going to remember from it. But they played a hell of a game. I understand that it's hard to hear because they didn't win and they had a chance to win it. I sympathize with both sides of it. I really, really do. I'm getting sick of it. There's no way around that, but you got to go back to the drawing board again and try and pick yourselves off the mat with a big game at Minnesota next week.
Yeah, you do. And again, you still have these opportunities coming down the line. I mean, we talked about it during the game. You and I did. Iowa might be number one when they come to town. All they have is the Big Ten West in front of them. Nebraska being the final. The final test there. So, I mean, that's a possibility. Ohio State, certainly a possibility. I know these are hard ones. You got to take care of the business in the other games, but the hope is obviously minimum is get to 6 wins, and hopefully they can do that. But these opportunities present you with something that you against a top 10 opponent where you can do more than just take a little bit of a step forward in the season. You can kind of put yourself on the map, and Nebraska is almost putting themselves in the map as the lovable loser right now because of how close these games are and how they just keep dropping them. But I will say this, I am to the point where close loss to Michigan, contextually, they're undefeated. They're number 9 in the nation, all that. At a certain point, you have to win these games. So when you say they're a good team, they're an okay team. Good teams finish at some point.
That's fair.
And they haven't been able to do that. It just kind of depends on what you're saying. But we almost have to say they're a good team for other people to believe us when they're 3-3 or 3-4, because but at a certain point, as a coach, as a team, as a quarterback, whatever, if for your legacy, you're going to have to finish one of these games to really, change the narrative. And right now, that narrative is that Nebraska's close and just can't get it done in the clutch.
Back to the phones. We got Matthew on the Honda of Lincoln hotline. He joins us now on the Husker Afterparty Postgame show. Good evening, Matthew.
Hey, good evening, guys. It's hard to find much fault, really. They did a really good job all around. I guess I agree. I understand what you're saying. I'm an aggressive person. I would probably go for it. In fact, I think if I remember right, it was not 4th and goal. I think we could have still even gotten a first down if I remember right. So, I mean, it was risky, but we gained a yard or two, and even if we didn't get it in, we'd have gotten the first. But players will tell you though that it's huge mentally to get that 0 off the board.
Yeah.
And at least get some points. And you never know how the game's going to play out, how the first half is going to play out. But having that field goal, I mean, obviously, hindsight's 20/20, and at the end of the game, it would have made a huge difference. But I think, playing the rest of the first half, going into halftime, at least having 3 points, who knows what that would have done for him, because, they know at least they scored. I mean, a score is a score. When you're trying to mentally think about, these guys are just kicking our butts or what's going on in the game. The thing that I don't like the most is the play calling in the first half when you're running the ball up the middle. And I've always been the type of guy that if they're stopping you up the middle, then you really need to start thinking about doing something else a lot sooner than wasting the whole first half trying to quote unquote soften them up. Osborne used to do that all the time and tell his players, well, we're going to own them in the fourth quarter. The problem was for Osborne is most of those games, we were so far behind, it didn't matter, So, I mean, I would have liked to have seen maybe more option or, short passes over the middle, over their heads, something to help soften them up and get a guy out of there or two, make them back off a little bit. But overall, I thought they did a really good job. I mean, it sucks to fall up short, but maybe you can brighten everybody's night up a little bit. And I'm stuck on the radio and tell us if Texas A&M has beaten up Alabama yet or not.
I don't know. I don't have an update on that.
It's tied. I think Alabama's got the ball late in the fourth. It's 38-38. So hopefully,
not great news.
Hopefully
yet.
The Aggies can get it done.
Thanks for the call, Matthew. Appreciate it. Yeah, we can go back to that first half play calling. I'm with Matthew on that one. And it was they made the proper adjustments in the second half. I mean, it's pretty clear, and I've been saying it all year through 7 games now. Nebraska's offense is better when they can work off of the pass. When their way, since they can't conventionally run the ball consistently, their way of softening up defenses in the middle is just actually spread things out. The option wasn't working tonight. I didn't think it was going to.
Almost
either.
Anything on the edge wasn't working tonight.
I didn't think it was going to. They had a lot of success last week against Northwestern. Once again, one of the slowest defenses that I've ever seen play here at Memorial Stadium. Michigan was fast. They have athletes. They have guys that can really, really beat you to the point. It felt like every time Nebraska was going to set something up out there, there was 3 or more guys that were kind of just waiting on them. They had numbers on the perimeter. They're just fast. They can get to those points quicker than Nebraska was either prepared for or that they, wanted, obviously, in order for it to work. But then you hit a couple big plays. I said going into the game that it was going to be pretty dependent on if Nebraska could hit some big plays tonight. And they did. And that was kind of their way to soften things up. And then all of a sudden, Ramir creased a couple runs. He had a big 20-yard run in the fourth quarter. They scored 22 points in the third. So first half, you go into the locker room down 13-0. Would have loved to not give up that touchdown going into half. Bogus pass interference call.
Yeah.
Bogus
of all the bad calls tonight, that one hurt the most.
Yep, I think so. You would have loved to not have those points on the board. I mean, we could do the officiating thing whenever we want, but here were phrases that were uttered tonight. What was the tie goes to the receiver one? Joint possession.
Joint possession, yeah.
So joint possession on a punt return, and then
which apparently means they just get the ball.
What was the one? Deceptive clapping or something like that?
Disconcerting signals.
Disconcerting.
Which was a clap, I guess,
signals.
which they can do unless it draws Michigan.
Unless it's against Nebraska. Frost came out and complained about it after the 2020 Iowa game. It was like they were clapping. We didn't know what to do. We didn't know when to snap the ball. And they just let it kind of happen the entire game. And Nebraska tried it, I guess, tonight. Harbaugh was yelling at it about it a little bit in the third and fourth quarter, and then they went back and showed the replay. I didn't see anybody clap or anything like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
But I mean, the officiating was awful regardless of even what side you're on. Remember when Michigan got that first down by like 3 yards?
Yeah.
And they spotted it down
1 yard short.
Yeah. So I mean, it was frustrating, and they overturned like 3 calls on one drive, I believe, which pretty much means that any of us could be out there officiating as long as we can just review it.
Yeah.
So it was rough, but it's not a reason for the loss. It's almost a reason for the 7 points at the end of the half. So you could equate it to a loss if you want to, but at the end of the day, Nebraska had their opportunities to win this game without facing the officials or worrying about the officials, and they blew it.
We're going to hear from Scott Frost after the first break here. We're going to get you guys into on the Husker After Party Postgame Show, which is brought to you by Southeast Community College and N Street Drive-In. Back to the phones. We head to Vincent in Kansas City. Good evening, Vincent.
Hey, guys. I just want to say right off the bat here that I'm 28, and I've been listening to you guys for a decade. Big fan of what you guys do.
Thanks, Vincent. Appreciate that.
Yeah. I just want to say I'm tired. I'm a millennial. I'm 28. I'm tired of these old fogies coming in and complaining about some big mess up that we had that was pretty traumatizing, but coming out of the game with just that on their minds. When they're not able to step back and look at the trend line that's been moving upward. Yeah, we're making mistakes. Things are visibly being fine-tuned. One of the things that I've seen change from last year to this year is just this mental resilience that it seems like I can see with the team. Definitely something we did not have during the Pelini era, when things would just fall apart, when Pelini would start yelling at the refs and throwing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But that steady, slow-burning resilience that gets them through the game. It doesn't seem like they're panicking. That's just been something that I've seen that is big for me, just in my support for this team. Honestly, this is an undefeated team, asking for a win in this situation. We could have won. But I mean, we got close. We have all these other teams, that aren't Michigan, remaining in the schedule here. Lost my train of thought here. I'm a little nervous, not gonna lie.
Oh, you're doing good.
Since I'm a first-time caller here.
That's all right.
All I'm really asking for at the end of this year is at least a bowl game, maybe even just like 7 wins. But I will expect that to improve upon that, the coming year too.
Yeah.
I see the trend line moving upwards here. Everyone just needs to calm down and take a step back, not get too freaked out, and see that we are heading in the right direction. Scott Frost is our guy. Don't give Adrian Martinez too hard of a time. He's been carrying a lot of stuff on his back for this team. That's all I want to say. Go Big Red.
Thanks, Vincent. Appreciate you. Appreciate you listening. Thank you. 402-464-5685. Once again, I think that'll be I'll be the line, and then we'll get calls kind of on both sides of the line tonight. And I'm going to sympathize with both sides every time. But I always come back to this wasn't a must-win game for Nebraska, but you want to get over the hump. You want to finish one of these things off, Bach, like you said. And the expectation is that Nebraska will be a favorite going into Minnesota next week, probably, I guess would be my anticipation at this point. And that would be a game where, you have to kind of take care of business. And I don't know if tonight was one of those, but it was close enough, and you felt good enough going into the game where it's like, all right, we're going to win this thing. And then during the game, it plays out like you thought it would, and you had it right in your hands and let it slip in the fourth quarter. And that hurts. So that's not a knock against the direction it's heading. That's just a knock on them being able to finish games. And ultimately your record is what your record is. And Nebraska's 3-4. They've had 3 really close losses against good teams and 1 horrible loss against a horrible team.
Yeah. That was close.
And that one, you think about that more and more every week, because it would sure look a whole lot better if you were 4-3 instead of 3-4 at this point. And when it comes down to the last 5 games of the year now, that stuff gets magnified. And I want it to be as it's a bottom line business. So I want to treat it that way. But at the same time, I understand that, yeah, I mean, I feel good about the way this team's playing football right now in general.
Yeah, I do too. But I mean, I'm not Scott Frost's friend. I don't work for the university. I mean, there's nothing there, so I don't have anything on, on that side that makes me really want to pump you up. I would just say you can feel whatever you want to. You're allowed to feel whatever you want to, and that's in any case, but especially in this case where it's year 4 and your team's under 500 and they haven't been above 500, and so if you're frustrated and you're just to the point that you don't think that this is heading the right direction, you can feel that way. But I'll tell you this. Most of Husker Nation, or at least 85,000 of them, feel like this is taking off, that it's going somewhere, because the last 2 weeks have been very special inside Memorial Stadium. And I feel that way too. I think you have players that, Deontay Williams looked great a lot of time. I know the defense didn't play their best game today, but they had several players, that are just coming on. I think Adrian Martinez, it just hurts me to see him fumble that one, because Nebraska's well, actually, Nebraska might be 3-4 without Adrian Martinez, but they wouldn't be 3-4 and lose by a bunch of one-possession games without Adrian Martinez. But my point is, they wouldn't be anywhere near as close of a good a team without him. So, I mean, it's frustrating. I understand the frustration, and you could feel how you want to feel because I mean, this stuff is frustrating. It's piling up on you. But maybe it'll just take the weekend to breathe it off. Maybe it'll take beating Minnesota and Purdue and getting ready for Ohio State to get you back on board. But I think this is another close game. Again, 3 out of your 4 losses. You mentioned the one is awful, and it probably is. It's just always going to look awful. But those other 3 losses are to like 3 of the 10 teams that are undefeated. It's hard to be undefeated halfway through a college football team. Those teams are pretty solid.
It's hard to rectify any of it. It
is,
because it doesn't make a lot of sense. I could sit here and tell you Nebraska's a good team, but then you look at the record and say that they're 3-4, and they're going to play an 11 a.m. game, snooze-a-thon next week against Minnesota, and the final score will be 14-10, and everyone will be like, "Well, this is dumb. Why are we here?" But it'll be enough, and if Nebraska can win it, it'll be a good win for them.
Do you think they'd be 3-4 without Adrian? You think
they would have won all
Fordham
3
and
games?
Buffalo and Northwestern? Yeah,
probably.
I think they would be.
Yeah, probably.
But they wouldn't look near as good.
We wouldn't feel as good about it anyway. All right, one more phone call before we take our first break here. We got let's see, Doug on the Honda of Lincoln hotline. Thanks for holding, Doug. Appreciate it. What's up?
Yeah, hey, appreciate it, guys. I just want to say a lot of the comments earlier I echo. I mean, OU, Michigan State, Michigan, we played top 25, top 10, top 5 teams close. And I guess my opinion is Adrian's not trying to fumble, and all those kids are trying their hardest. And I appreciate those guys sticking around to try to rebuild this program. And I think they're doing a great job.
Yeah, that's an underrated part of this, I guess. And thanks for the call, Doug. Appreciate it. But I mean, now I want to be careful because there's a lot of football left to be played, and I don't know what happens in the remainder of the 5 games. My sense is that this team will lay down and die. But tonight was a gut punch.
Yeah,
and 2 weeks ago was a gut punch, and 3 weeks ago, or I guess 4 weeks ago against Oklahoma, you felt okay, but it was also still a gut punch. So you kind of ask yourself, how many can you take? I asked the same thing. After the stupid Michigan State game, and here we are again. This probably goes in the category of, when I categorized all the Nebraska losses in the Scott Frost era, this probably goes in the stupid one again. How did you lose it?
Yeah.
Oh, like it was against a top 10 team, but it probably still goes in the stupid category.
But in the I guess the spirit of it's hard to win in college football, let's go ahead and announce that Texas A&M did beat number 1 Alabama 41-38, meaning Georgia, who's troubled on offense, is your number 1 team. And we heard all week, Georgia and Alabama are so much better than everybody else. Well, maybe not Alabama, and I'm not convinced Georgia is either. And Iowa, who is zero, doesn't have a dimension. You could say one-dimensional. They don't have a dimension on offense. They're going to be number 2. So there's no great teams in college football, I don't believe. So I think that frustrates people too, because when they say Oklahoma and Michigan State and Michigan, Nebraska's right there, and Nebraska's not great. So that's what's frustrating is you can put the top 10 and undefeated stuff in one category, and then you can put the Nebraska at 3-4. Had an opportunity to beat each and every one of those teams in the fourth quarter.
Let's take another. Yeah, we'll be here. We're going to take our first break at the top of the hour here. So got a few more minutes left to squeeze you guys in, and then we'll have more after that on the Husker After Party Postgame Show. Once again, brought to you by Southeast Community College and N Street Drive-In. Back to the Honda of Lincoln hotline here. We go to Adam. Good evening, Adam.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Pretty good.
I am just watching Alabama getting beat, so I'm kind of wow, that happened.
You're happy.
Okay.
Yes.
So,
yeah, it's good. It's a good.
Yeah. So, about us, I'm pretty proud of the guys tonight. I think we all should be. It's just frustrating. I that's basically my sentiment. I think the whole state feels that way. Like, I'm proud of the guys, but it's just like, we're right there, right?
It
looks like it.
It's hard to understand. It's hard to understand. I don't know. Hey Adam, we got asked about a curse a couple weeks ago, and I shut it down pretty good. But I don't know. It's all on the table now. I don't know how you fumble that football. Like I don't know how that happens. Adam, I had never been more confident that Nebraska was going to go down and win the game on that drive after after they let up the tie game there and they just dropped the ball.
We were in such a good we're in such a good spot to do it though. Like, we had a chance.
Yeah. Worst case scenario looked like overtime.
Right. Which is a bad scenario. Adam, I'm having trouble finding the words too, man, but we appreciate the call and thanks for joining this evening. Once again, 402-464-5685 is the number to call. Honda of Lincoln hotline, Starter Heyman text line. You could text into that number as well. As long, and we're getting some from the other side too on the text line that I'm just kind of scanning through a little bit, and it's like, the sellout streak needs to end, and like they don't deserve any support or anything like that. And that seems pretty extreme for me. And the one thing I think about this team is they, with all their flaws, which they have lots of, they play hard as hell, man. It's a team that you could be pretty proud of. Adrian Martinez, with all of his flaws, fights like hell, is still battling whatever he's battling with his jaw. You saw it close up a couple times tonight, and I get it. I don't want to sympathize too much, and I don't want to come off that way exactly, but I also don't want to be like, throw this whole thing away, because there's obviously some good stuff. It's a good ball of clay, and you kind of just have to figure out how to mold it the right way. All right, one more phone call before our first break here. Troy's on the line. Troy, thanks for holding. What's up?
Hey, as gut-wrenching as this loss was, you got to be happy for how we've taken 3 top 15, top 5 teams to the wire at the very end of it. And had it not been for 1 or 2 gut-wrenching plays, we'd be in it. We could be 6-1, 7-0, who knows? And as much as we hate to see Iowa win tonight against Penn State, I think it's fortunate that we see them win, so that hopefully on Black Friday we take it to them and we prove just how good we are.
Certainly setting up for a interesting Black Friday, Troy. That's for sure. Maybe number 1 Iowa rolls into town. Who knows? That's something I'm not quite prepared for yet.
Yeah.
And like I said, there's a lot of football. There's a lot of football left here. I'll be curious to see how they bounce back next week. But my instinct tells me, because they've had these gut-wrenching losses so far this year, my instinct tells me that they'll bounce back fine. They'll continue to play their game. They still have flaws. They still screw up. But it's a team that's good enough to win a bunch of games in this league, more than a handful.
Well, and the problem is going to be, I think, getting up for this Michigan game after a gut-wrenching loss isn't too hard because it could have been a program changer. Getting up for the 11 a.m. game at Minnesota,
a little trickier,
a sleepy game. Yeah, that one's going to be tough. So hopefully that you keep the momentum you have going off of the last 4 games, even though you're 1-3 in those games. But hopefully you can keep it rolling, and that's what's going to be important. I mean, we can talk about these big games all we want and how Nebraska needs to get over the hump, but they're not favored in these games, and they're playing, and for the most time, they're beating the spread or getting right there. And I think Vegas knew something again. The line moved from 3.5 to like 2.5 before the game kicked off, and it ended at 3. But it's Nebraska's not expected to win these games. The fact that they're competing in them is better than what it has been for years at Nebraska. I don't know if that's enough for you. Again, I'm not going to speak for you, but the real challenge is going to be, can they do it against Minnesota? Can you do it against Purdue? You have to beat Wisconsin.
Yeah,
they're absolutely
no
have to win
bones about
those
games.
games.
No bones about those games.
You lose one of those games, and then I'll get on the side of everybody else that's saying this is awful and tear it down and all that.
You've
stuff.
already dropped one of those. You can't do any more.
Yeah.
You're like, it sounds weird to say you get one. You shouldn't get one, but I mean, that's the way the season goes. You still play out the season the rest of the way. There's a little bit of wiggle room, but now there's no wiggle room. You got to beat the teams that you can beat. And then you probably have to jump up and win one that you might not be supposed to. Wisconsin's on that weird, I don't really know what to do with them range right now. But yeah. So like I said, 402-464-5685. We're still taking calls from you guys here on the Husker After Party Postgame Show as Nebraska falls to Michigan 32-29. We will have some audio from Scott Frost coming up after the break. Sam, you're on the line. Hang on. We'll come back right after this.
Tractor Supply Distribution Center in Waverly is now hiring for all shifts. They're a 24/7 facility and a clean environment to work in. There's potential to earn up to $25.25 per hour with opportunities for overtime. They also offer a retention bonus as new team members are eligible for a bonus as high as $1,000. Come be a part of the Tractor Supply team. Apply today at www.tractorsupply.jobs.
This is Bill.
It finally got me, Bill.
What's that, Rick?
The Clark Street crater, the mother of all potholes.
Oh.
Year after rim-wrecking year, it's tormented the people of this town. It got me good.
But State Farm's got you too.
You hear that? You ain't nothing.
You trash talking a pothole?
Yes, I am.
Go with the one that's here to help life go right. State Farm.
Call your local State Farm agent, Vinny Krekak, at 402-474-1173.
Hey, it's Sean Callahan, and football season is here, and Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill has food and drink specials every night for all the games. Enjoy jumbo pork tenderloin for $8.99 and 90-cent wings for Monday Night Football, or Comfort Thursday Night Football with chicken fried chicken, steak, or pork for just $9.99 and $20 Coors Light aluminum buckets. Watch college football on Saturdays with an Eggie sandwich for $9.99 and Coors Light specials, and catch NFL Sundays with Bloody Marys and more. That's Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill.
You could celebrate a Nebraska football win with chips or wings and your favorite beverage, but Beatrice Bakery has all sorts of cakes to celebrate all victories this fall. Coffee cake, breakfast bread, artisan cakes, and especially Grandma's fruit cake. No one remembers who brought the chips, but everyone remembers who brought the cake. Make your parties memorable and your Mondays at the office better with cakes from Beatrice Bakery. They ship nationwide. Check out BeatriceBakery.com, proud sponsors of the Nebraska Shrine Bowl. Welcome to our world of yum.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Here's to days spent roaming, and to sleeping beneath the stars, to casting another line and letting time float by. From Shadron State Park to Indian Cave State Park and every recreation area, historical and state park in between. Here's to your adventures, your memories. Here's to 100 years of your Nebraska State Parks. Plan your next trip today at nebraskaparks100.org. Sponsored by Nebraska Game and Parks. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
The dangers of secondhand smoke are well known. But what about secondhand aerosol, which is created when using e-cigarettes? Science already shows a secondhand aerosol can contain nicotine, heavy metals, and cancer-causing agents. Eliminating exposure to secondhand aerosol is an important step to keeping everyone safe. Breathe easier knowing the facts.
For help quitting, call the Nebraska Tobacco Quit Line, 1-800-QUIT-NOW, 1-800-784-8669. Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Build your network, experience local business, and find out what local merchants have to offer all in one day. Visit the 2021 Lincoln Expo on Tuesday, October 13th at Pinnacle Bank Arena. Safely discover local business and shop local at the 2021 Lincoln Expo from 10 a.m. until 3 p.m.
Last year, the average starting pay for an SCC truck driver training program graduate was $44,720. Southeast Community College can now make that a reality in only 8 weeks with its professional truck driver training class starting in October. SCC's fleet of 12 trucks and professional instructors will prepare you for a new career. You'll end the course with your Class A CDL. Learn more about SCC's professional truck driver training class at southeast.edu/truckdriver. SCC, your path to possible.
Back to the Husker After Party Postgame Show. Brought to you by Southeast Community College on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Great route and catch by Samari. We had a chance to hit a shallow on first down. They brought pressure on second. We were really close to hitting the screen on third. One more step out there quicker by our guard, and I think it creases. Then on fourth down, they brought zero blitz and tried to take a shot to one of our best players. And they were pressuring us a lot tonight, which I don't blame them. But they've been doing it all year, and, you know, we trying to protect Adrian a little bit too, and thought we got the drive started real well. I'm still really confident at that point. We just needed one more play to keep the chains going.
That's Scott Frost on Nebraska's final drive. We'll hear more from him as we go on throughout the evening. We'll probably go to about midnight tonight. Would be seems to line up relatively well. So we're here for you guys until then. 402-464-5685, the Honda of Lincoln hotline and the Starter Heyman text line. Welcome back. Connor Happer, Jake Bachoven with you on the Husker After Party Postgame Show, brought to you by Southeast Community College and N Street Drive-In. As Nebraska loses tonight 32-29 to Michigan, down 13-0 at halftime, scored 22 points in the third quarter, ultimately are outscored 13-7 in the fourth. And of course, the game-winning field goal was keyed by, or was started, the drive was started anyway, by an Adrian Martinez fumble on a play that is about 50-50 on whether it gets called dead or not. And, you know.
Well, you go to the whistle blows. The whistle hasn't blown yet, so.
Yep. That's pretty much the story.
I guess that's where that one lands.
Back to the phones?
Yeah, let's go back.
Back to the phones. Sam, you've been waiting. How are you?
I'm not doing well. Is anyone sick of Frost blaming the players at the end of these games? Like, did you just listen to that highlight? He said that if the guard makes the tackle, did the guard not kick the field goal in that first drive? Like, what are we watching? Like, he's not going to take any blame for any of this? I'm just like blown away at what he does.
Look,
every
Sam,
game.
Sam. Here's the context. And thanks for the call. He was asked what happened on the final drive. And he went through each play on the final drive. And he mentioned that Nori Newilly, he did not mention him by name, but I will. Nori Newilly did not quite get to the edge. He was one step short of getting to the edge, and if he gets there, it probably creases. It's a statement of fact. It's not throwing his players under the bus or anything like that. He was asked to go through the plays, play by play, and he did it. I don't know what you want him to do.
Yeah, I mean, you could have him go through successful plays, and he could point out how they did well there too, and I'm sure he will and has. So I mean, I think he was just at least giving you the idea and the thought process of what he was doing. Of a screenplay that he was trying to stick up for his call a little bit probably there, and saying that the screenplay was potentially there, just wasn't all the way executed. But I mean, that's part of football. If you're in the football room and you're listening to your head coach and he mentions a mistake that you made, you probably shouldn't be in football, because mistakes are made on every play by different players, and sometimes they're important ones, and sometimes they'll have to be pointed out in the post game. But as long as we're on the topic, though, the offensive line, I think we all knew it wasn't just going to be fixed overnight. and that the Northwestern game was a bit of a mirage, or at least a lesser opponent. And we saw that today. I mean, I think Michigan at certain times was living in the backfield. For what it's worth, Nebraska didn't allow too many sacks, and Adrian Martinez was able to get around the pressure, but it was there all night.
They've found a way to manage it. And that's, once again, a pretty good defense that they're going up against. They're going to see good defenses the rest of the way. They found a way in the second half. That was a good picture of what it will look like when this offense is successful. I think it's outside in. They obviously, they want to run the ball, and they want to run it better than they have in a conventional manner with the running backs. But when you can't establish that as well as you want, you have to lean on some of your guys to make plays on the outside. And that's the one discernible advantage that I thought Nebraska had going into this game, personnel-wise. Nebraska's wide receivers against whatever else Michigan was throwing out there. And they had a couple guys who made plays on defense. That was going to, and Adrian had to get around Hutchinson, and you had Prohaska working on him. You had Corcoran working on him. You had Benhart working at him after Prohaska got hurt and they had to flip the line back over again. I don't think it was all that. Like, I didn't come out of this game thinking that, man, the offensive line it's never going to work. Like that wasn't really my thought coming out of this game, because it's manageable. And so if we're going to get after Frost for stuff not working, it's a commendable job of what they're doing offensively with a patchwork offensive line at times, 431 yards of total offense. And once again, I know this stuff is hard to hear because they lost and we're all sad about it. But I want to have, I guess this is what it comes down to. We're going to get back to the phones here, but I want to have nuanced conversations about football. And if you can't see that this game is not black and white, then I don't want to talk to you. It doesn't make any sense for you guys to call into the show, because there are two sides, and sometimes more than that, to every single one of these plays and every single one of these outcomes. And if we're too outcome based, then it's a problem. I want to be outcome based too. I want to be results based. That's ultimately what it comes down to. But when we're talking about specific plays and things that happen during the game, we have to realize that there's some nuance here. And it's such a hard sport to evaluate, because if you want to see it on one side, then you could just pick out all the bad things that happened all night and be my guest if you want to do so. But if you want to talk football with us, and if you want to have nuanced conversations about football and where this thing is headed, and some of your doubts and some of the things that are good and all the outcomes that happen throughout an individual football game, we're here for you guys. But I can't sit here and be like, Adrian sucks and he'll never win. That's just we get that every single game forever. And the dude goes 11 of 12 with 3 touchdowns in the second half against a top 10 team. And we're sitting here, it's like Adrian sucks and he'll never win because he fumbled a ball on a 50-50 play that should have been whistled dead in the fourth quarter with 3 minutes left. If you want to do that, fine. Go somewhere else. Seriously, go somewhere else. Because it's not, what you're doing is taking all of the context out of it. We can't do that. It's a nuanced conversation. It's football. It's hard to understand. And we're I don't know everything. We're trying to understand it better, but it's not a simple thing to talk about. So let's have the discussion, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, that's a good rant. I like it.
Sorry. Back to the phones. Andrew's on the line. Hey, Andrew.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. All right. So, I think we're all on the same page that past few games that have been this close have been heartbreakers. You want to have those wins and you want to get there. And we all know that we're that close. But, after that game, I think you can take away, some good things. I think that Prohaska did pretty good against Aiden Hutchinson. I mean, Hutchinson, he wasn't Chase Young like he was in 2019 against us. Cam Taylor-Britt had a heck of a game. The only concern that I was really having was why we were having Ramir instead of a guy, Jaquez Yant, 235 pounds, whatever his new weight is. But I think Ramir, he showed us that he was able to be that backer who can be in for most of the game, and he wore down that Michigan defense. He was getting that 1 to 2 yards to carry for that first half. But then, he had some great runs in that second half. So he was able to, fight in those trenches. But I just wish I could have seen a little bit more of Jockey Ant, especially in those trenches and on those, crucial 3rd and 1 situations, stuff like that.
Yeah. Thanks for the call, Andrew. Appreciate it. Once again, 402-464-5685. Go ahead, Bach.
Well, I will say this: Ramir is their most complete back, and part of that complete is Jock Yant's probably got to get better at pass protection. There's one play I noticed that Yant completely missed the blitz, and that they're going to be passing, and they're having trouble with that Michigan defensive line. That's going to be important for a game like this.
I haven't heard the quote, but I saw the quote, and when I said it when we were watching the game in the fourth quarter, but remember when they got miscommunicated and went the wrong way? It's like, yeah, well, that's probably a Yant deal.
Yeah.
Yant said, or Frost said Yant got pulled.
Yeah.
Because he went the wrong way. And so that's that trust thing. And you have to find a balance there. Like, we want Nebraska to play their best players, but you also can't have a guy going the wrong way and then give up a play. It just can't happen.
Yeah.
Our margin of error is way too thin here. We can't just give up a play. So that's the thing that they have to deal with constantly at all times.
And for this game to be the one where I wouldn't, and he gave credit to Ramir, so I will say that. But I mean, especially in the receiving game, where Ramir led the way, 105 yards, a touchdown, probably Ramir's best game as a Nebraska player. I mean, I'm kind of the same with him. I mean, his rushing stats seem to be similar every week, kind of 17 carries, 67 yards tonight. That's about what he does, but it's tough behind this offensive line. And again, the offensive line, the run game up the middle, that's what a lot of what he's being asked to do is just go in there and take hits at 2 yards deep. And it's a lot to ask. So, I mean, there's a lot of running backs that wouldn't have great yards per carry, I guess. And Ramirez just doing the dirty work to keep that going. And then eventually, like we said, he kind of broke it out there in the fourth quarter a couple times.
And part of your thing, and we get this on the text line, like, I don't care if he makes a few mistakes. And you don't want to get predictable because, like, all of a sudden you take him out and it's like, well, if Yant's in, they're going to run with him. And if Yant's not in, they're going to leave Ramir in. You don't want to become predictable with your personnel. I'm fine with the guy making a couple mistakes. Like, I believe in playing through that, and that's good. And I also believe in playing your best players, but it's situational. Like I was talking about with the whole nuance thing. Like, he doesn't have to be out there every play, and it's their job as a coaching staff to find a set of plays that work for him, that are good for him, and that he can execute to their standard, whatever that standard is, right? So they have to do that too. Once again, not a black and white, Yant's got to do better, coaching staff's got to do better thing. Both. They got to meet in the middle, halfway. Execution is what happens when I'm going to go cliche, but I don't even know what I'm trying to quote here. Execution is what happens. I'm philosophizing.
Okay.
Execution is what happens when preparation meets personnel.
I suppose.
Or heart or something like that.
You said like close to Bob Diaco, but like
there's a lot of things that go into execution.
Got hit with a rocket.
There's a lot of stuff that goes into execution.
Okay. I will say this, not so much about Yant, but I mean, I just think it's silly at this point not to have Xavier Betts a little bit more involved in the game plan. And it seems to be a complaint every week. So maybe there's something there where he doesn't have the playbook still or whatever it is. But I mean, the guy has a few carries and half of his carries are in around for touchdowns. I think that they just need to use that talent a little bit more. He got one carry tonight. And I don't think he didn't have a reception. So
let's go back to the phones. We got Lindsay on the line. Good evening, Lindsay.
Hey guys, it's good to be back on the radio. What's going on?
Good evening,
Good to
Lindsay.
hear from you.
You sound chipper.
You know, I've got a couple things. One, that was the loudest game I've ever been to. I've been to a ton of games over the years, and that was the loudest, most engaged fan base I have ever been a part of. So things are trending in the right direction if the fans are that engaged. Number two, it has been a complaint for how long that Scott Frost shows no emotion on the sideline ever. And I get tons of emails saying the players feed off his energy. When there was 7 minutes left and we were up on them in the fourth quarter, he sprinted, hurdled over people, bent over, and ran to the D line that was seated on the sideline and was hyping them up before they ran out there. That was the most emotion I've seen from Scott Frost, and that got me hyped out in the crowd. And so he is just, I mean, he's feeling it. The players are feeling it. Yeah, it's another L, but things are looking up. And I loved how you were saying that you want a nuanced conversation. I'm sick and tired of people ripping on Adrian Martinez. I'm sick and tired of people hating on the players, because you can see, if you actually sit and watch the game and don't just look at the number at the end of the game, you can see how lights out different they're playing from last year. Something is different. I don't know what changed from last year to this year, but I'm loving it. I'm feeling it, and I am all in for the nuanced conversation. Keep up the good work, guys.
Thank you, Lindsay. Appreciate the call. Yeah, and look, back to point number one, fans wanted that one.
Yeah.
Fans wanted that one. You could switch it, Nick. Fans wanted that one bad. Oh, don't drop that guy out. Don't drop Sasha off, though. You drop Sasha off. Too many buttons for me.
Sasha, call back. Sasha,
call
back.
back.
We
didn't mean to drop you. Number one, fans wanted that one bad.
Yeah.
That was as foaming at the mouth as you have heard since 2014 Miami, when people wanted blood that day, right? But it was a different type of thing. Like, there wasn't much hatred for Michigan, maybe that seeps in.
Yeah.
But it was all about, like, it's time. It's time to do this, right? And you felt that in the crowd tonight. You felt the urgency. 2 on Frost. I didn't see the one where he sprinted down the sideline and got the D-line going or anything like that. But you did notice the one before half where they score on when McNamara fell over and the knee hit the ground, but they score when the guy jumped into the end zone. And for whatever God knows what reason, it did not get buzzed down for a replay. I thought all plays were reviewed immediately, but apparently not in the stupid godforsaken conference. So then Frost has to burn a timeout, or like call a timeout and say, review this immediately. The guy's knee was down before he handed off the football. Please, God, review the play. And he got it, and he's of course showing emotion there. Like, yeah, it felt like we were trending toward a Bo Pelini hat throw at some point with Scott Frost and the officials. So yeah, that has been a complaint, and I'm glad you mentioned that, Lindsay.
Yeah, and Scott has showed more emotion, and he's kind of taking on the more head coaching role in the last. I mean, I shouldn't say taking it on, but at least changed some of his duties the last couple of weeks. We know, or we heard last week, he kind of was instrumental in going there and finally making the moves on the offensive line. And so, I mean, I think he's trying some different things. And again, I think it's working. I think they're getting close. This game's so hard to break down because they didn't score a point in the first half. So if you just want to complain about the first half, you could definitely have a lot of complaints there. But the third quarter, and then it looked like they were going to win there in the fourth quarter. So it's just, like you said, this game is nuanced more than anything. But did the light show work against the Huskers today?
Oh, Bob.
That is the question for me, because Michigan was on the field. They took jump around from Wisconsin last week. They were excited about the light show.
I am not going to join you on this, but you go ahead.
They were excited about the light show. They came out and scored their first possession in the fourth quarter. I don't know what you want me to say. That seemed to have pumped them up.
Bach is out on the light show.
I'm not out on it. I just think Michigan used that, and they enjoyed it. And they took the momentum that Nebraska had because they played a light show.
Bach says you should shut all the lights off and have it quiet in between the third and fourth quarter.
The light show lost the game tonight for us, guys.
Kudos to them. I mean, it's about how you react in those situations.
It was, and Nebraska had all the momentum.
Yeah.
Of course, the crowd loved it. Somehow Michigan was able to jump up and down, even though they just looked like they were blowing the game. But yeah, I mean, good response for them. And that's another thing here. Sometimes we get so focused on Nebraska. There's some good. That Blake Corum guy's pretty darn good.
Yeah, those backs are tough.
That Aiden Hutchinson guy is pretty darn good. Dax Hill. I mean, they've got some guys.
Yeah, Hutchinson is a top 10 guy.
Yeah,
he was in the backfield all night. Back to the phones here. We have Terry on the line. Hey, Terry.
Hey, you guys. Is this a call-in show, or do you just like to hear yourself chatter and look and make sure you got somebody on the line?
Terry, don't be combative. We've taken like 15 calls
I'm not
tonight.
combative. Oh, and by the way, Lindsay, the only numbers that matter on the scoreboard is Nebraska has more than the other team. She doesn't have that concept quite yet.
I think she's
Terry. You just heard my whole spiel about the nuanced conversation. You're going right in the face of it, and you're gonna get.
And guess what? I'm going to go right back further.
All right.
The quarterback of the Nebraska team on his, you guys don't call it a fumble, but
it was
after
a fumble.
he's played so many years of football, wouldn't you think once you got the first down, get down on the ground, protect the ball, get the clock stopped, and let's mosey on down the field. But know what? He's trying to push 2,000 pounds of humanity on down the field that's taken up valuable time. That isn't how you're taught.
You're not taught to get more yards.
Yeah, there is no way he's going to push 2,000 pounds of people down the field for one more inch of ground after you've already acquired your goal, which was get the first down.
Does Michigan have 3 600-pound players that I don't know about?
No, but he's pushing against his own people too. So just take that times 3.
But Terry,
don't do mathematics with me because you're on a radio station, and that's all.
But Terry,
I'm not
do that.
dumb, Terry. I'm not that dumb.
Let's just keep it at just. He should have got down on the ground and stopped the clock, and we keep on going. But no, he's trying to be a hero just like he always is, and it's time to let him go. We don't need a 6th year of him, do we?
Terry, what do you like 18 of 28 for 291 and 3 touchdowns? 4 total touchdowns?
This is his 4th year.
Well, I don't give a shit if
boo.
Terry finally got himself kicked off. Dang.
He's out.
I was ready to go. We were in that. We were in that. Buck, you got it out of him. Though.
Yeah, we did. Well, that was an entertaining call. And again, you're allowed to have these opinions. You just
look. The fumble is regrettable.
It was a fumble.
I wish that he would not have fumbled. It sucks that he fumbled, and I don't want to make it about luck or anything like that because it seems to happen at the worst times to Nebraska, and that's what you were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Nebraska is a team that's not good enough to finish these games, and all that crap seems to happen to them at the most important times of the game, and that's on them. That's something they have to go back to school and fix, right? Back to the drawing board, whatever that tweak is. I'm not the football coach, and Frost has been the football coach for a long time, and it's his job to figure that out, whatever that missing piece is, why Nebraska can't finish these games. I don't know what it is, but it seems to happen to him at the bad moments, and the fumble sucked. You're not gonna. I can't. He should have got he could have done a million other things, right? Does he just go down? Does the whistle get blown? Does whatever? Does he pitch it back to I don't know what else could have happened, and it ended up being a fumble, and he turned the football over. Yeah.
Well, again, I understand the frustration, and everybody's allowed to feel how you want to feel, and especially if your team's 3-4 in year 4 of the coach that you thought was going to be the savior or whatever. So I get the frustration, but I just can't get too upset about being in a game in the 4th quarter against an undefeated top 10 team, especially where this program is. I think they played a solid game tonight. I think several guys looked pretty darn good tonight. The defense could have played better, I think, at times, but maybe didn't live up to what they've played throughout the year. At the same time, Damian Daniels is rising up the draft boards as we speak.
Yeah, he's playing great.
Deontay Williams, looked pretty good tonight. Luke Reimer, Heinrich had double-digit tackles. I mean, and then on the offensive side of the ball. I'm sorry that you do dislike Adrian, but that's the guy I'm pointing to right now because he kept Nebraska alive and he keeps them in these games. And if you haven't seen him play better since the Illinois game, I mean, that Illinois game was kind of a lot of Adrian's career. But since then, I mean, he's like one of the nation's leading. He's like the conference's second leading yards guy. He's one of the nation's leading rushing quarterbacks.
He's the most touchdowns in the league by a margin at this point.
It's not. Plenty of teams would love to have Adrian Martinez. Artur Sitkowski was like 7 of. I mean, he had a rough day today. Graham Mertz. I mean, most teams in the Big Ten would love an Adrian Martinez.
Yeah, it's a nuanced conversation with Adrian because he keeps you in a lot of games and in fact puts you in a position where you can be in a lot of games with Nebraska's offensive line woes, trying to figure out stuff around him constantly for the last couple of years. And he's kind of been there, and he's obviously had his struggles and he's had really, really bad moments. So he keeps you in a lot of games and he gets you in a lot of games, and his mistakes, because of Nebraska's thin, razor thin margin for error, oftentimes keep you out. And that's the bottom line. That's what it is. And is that on him or is that on the margin for error? It's both. Like, you wish the mistakes wouldn't happen at the worst time in the world like they seemingly always do. But Nebraska had chances to be in a better position before they got to that point tonight. And they weren't. So it's a little gray, maybe, Bach.
Well, and maybe
I don't know.
and maybe they had like a position, but at a certain, I mean, he's got to do it all. he has to do it all because the traditional running game's not going to get it done. So he's going to have to be part of the running game, or passing it with pressure in his face all day. It's not a easy task for him. But I mean, there's holes in his game. Don't get me wrong. That 2-minute offense, I just don't have any faith in it.
Yeah.
And I never really did, but the more that I see it, the less I believe
I felt really good about them scoring on the drive that Adrian fumbled on, actually. Weirdly enough, with 3 minutes left and all 3 timeouts, and the way you kind of moved a little bit to start that drive, I felt really good about their chances to go down and win the game. Like, I felt like it was going to happen. And I looked up at the screen and I was like, I cannot believe this. I was that may have been the most, I know I'm going to get ripped for this on the text line and on the phones or whatever, but that may have been the most shocked I have been watching Nebraska, even with all the shocking, stupid stuff over the last 3+ years. I couldn't believe what I was watching, because I legitimately had confidence that they were going to go down the score. The way they played, they scored 22 points in the third quarter.
Yeah.
They scored 29 points in the second half leading up to that drive. They're going down and scoring 5 of 6 drives leading into that drive. They had scored a touchdown on 5 of 6. I was like, they're doing it tonight. This is it. And he dropped the football. And it's life.
I wish there was a camera on every Husker fan for that one, because it was just for us in the room, we just couldn't come up with words.
I didn't have any words.
And again, I couldn't feel worse for the guy. I mean, because he's playing his butt off. He really is having a really good season, and he's just known for making those mistakes at the worst times, and there it happened again. And it's going to be a tough week for him, but hopefully, I hope most people try to stay positive and realize that this team is significantly better and that there's still a lot of opportunity left here in this year.
One more phone call before break here. Husker Afterparty Postgame Show. Connor Happer, Jake Bachoven with you. It's brought to you by Southeast Community College and N Street Drive-In. Excuse me. We go to Sasha now on the line. Hey, Sasha.
Hey, guys. I was, normally the guy calling for Frost heads after the last couple of losses. And last year I wanted to bench Martinez, and I always be angry after the games. But not today, man. I'm kind of just way more sad. Sad for the players, the staff, and the fans. I thought we did enough. I thought we could get the game. I don't blame anyone or any play. The only thing I take off this, I feel like we'll finally get over the hump when we take like a 2-possession lead in the fourth quarter or something like that. We keep being in this like 1-possession game where one play kind of just ruins something. It's just, let's just take a 10 and 14 point lead against Iowa or Ohio State, but like 5 or 6 minutes to go, and then see how it ends. Right? I feel like way too many times it's one possession and then the wrong guy makes the wrong play. Yeah, I feel like that's how we get over the hump on this, where we just don't even make it close. We just take one of these teams and we kind of win just going away. And we'll see how loose the team is, up 14, trying to run out the clock, and not down 3 trying to score or down or tie game. You guys know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. And thanks for the call, Sasha. I appreciate it. And that's where we go back to the margin for error thing. And they're not good enough to, drain a clock with a 2-touchdown lead against that type of team. They're good enough to squeak away and win that game if they can. They're good and they're bad enough to lose it. And you saw that result tonight. So that's where I guess I'll stop. Like, I would love to see it. I would love to see him, try and, drain some clock at the end or hang on with a 2-touchdown lead and feel good about themselves. But
keep in mind, Michigan hasn't trailed for 5.5 games this year. So to have a 2-touchdown lead on them in the fourth quarter is quite a bit of a task. And maybe Ohio State will do it later, but Nebraska's clearly not Ohio State. So, I mean, it is, and that's the frustration. That's where it's going to eventually might catch up to Scott Frost as these, it's now 5 and 16 in 1-possession games. And we just can keep adding to that stat every week. And, you have to learn to win those close games. And it just doesn't seem like that's in the cards. I mean, you can say it's cursed.
I don't know
I
what
like
the
the
tweak
play
is.
callings down there, but
that's where I stop because I don't know what the tweak is. But like, I don't know what needs to be done, whether it's a mental thing, whether it's a physical thing, whether it's an execution thing, a scheme thing, like whatever it is. The answer is probably all of that stuff needs to rise. But it just seems like you're one little thing away, right? And you can't get past whatever that point is.
But for what it's worth, I do think this too. This is not something that happened in the first, we're in 7 games now. The first 5 games is I think Nebraska played a pretty clean game. This was an offense and defensive game. Didn't come down to special teams, except for the kick, obviously. It literally came down to a field goal for the win. But
through one pick on the bounce up, miraculous guy was laying on the ground, caught it.
Yeah,
pass.
That's a 5-star defensive back, by the way. That's a pretty darn good guy. But a turnover. I expect a turnover in a game. I'm just saying you don't inexplicably, punt to one of the wrong guy and have everybody run to him, or the fumble at the end maybe is in that category this week. But to me, the penalties weren't all that bad. The offensive line didn't have too many penalties, 4 penalties on a drive, or anything like that. So I think that they're playing better in almost every phase of the game. It's just not quite ready. And it is. I mean, if you played Michigan 5 times or 10 times, this might be a 5-5 type of series.
Yeah.
Maybe it's 6-4 Michigan, but you know what I mean? You just didn't quite get the win. And maybe it wouldn't be, though. Maybe it's still that problem of you just can't finish these games against top-ranked opponents, or regardless of competition, in one-possession games.
Let's take a break here. Sledge, nice, and Tommy, hang on the line. We'll get to you guys after the break. There is one line open if you'd like to take it up and make Nick do his job and answer the phone. No, Nick does a great job. I don't want to say Nick, you're doing great over there. All right, we'll take a quick break and we'll come back more next on the Husker Afterparty Postgame Show.
Serve Nebraska believes that volunteers are part of what makes Nebraska great. Each year, the Step Forward Awards honors volunteers from across the state who serve their communities in outstanding ways. In the interest of safety, the 2021 Step Forward Awards is moving to a virtual space. Help us celebrate volunteerism and thank volunteers for all they do by tuning in to the 2021 Virtual Step Forward Awards. Visit serve.nebraska.gov, paid for by Serve Nebraska, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Hey, it's Sean Callahan, and football season is here, and Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill has food and drink specials every night for all the games. Enjoy jumbo pork tenderloin for $8.99 and 90-cent wings for Monday Night Football, or comfort Thursday Night Football with chicken fried chicken, steak, or pork for just $9.99 and $20 Coors Light aluminum buckets. Watch college football on Saturdays with an Aggie sandwich for $9.99 and Coors Light specials, and catch NFL Sundays with Bloody Marys and more. That's Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill.
Build your network, experience local business, and find out what local merchants have to offer all in one day. Visit the 2021 Lincoln Expo on Tuesday, October 13th at Pinnacle Bank Arena. Safely discover local business and shop local at the 2021 Lincoln Expo from 10 a.m. until 3 p.m.
State Farm, this is Bill.
It finally got me, Bill.
What's that, Rick?
The Clark Street crater, the mother of all potholes.
Oh.
Year after rim-wrecking year, it's tormented the people of this town. It got me good.
But State Farm's got you too.
You hear that? You ain't nothing.
You trash talking a pothole?
Yes, I am.
Go with the one that's here to help life go right. State Farm.
Call your local State Farm agent, Vinny Krekak, at 402-474-1173.
You could celebrate a Nebraska football win with chips or wings and your favorite beverage, but Beatrice Bakery has all sorts of cakes to celebrate all victories this fall. Coffee cake, breakfast bread, artisan cakes, and especially Grandma's fruit cake. No one remembers who brought the chips, but everyone remembers who brought the cake. Make your parties memorable and your Mondays at the office better with cakes from Beatrice Bakery. They ship nationwide. Check out BeatriceBakery.com, proud sponsors of the Nebraska Shrine Bowl. Welcome to our world of yum.
Another packed fall sports season means it's time to get to N Street Drive-In to fill up on all your beverage needs. This month's specials are Sam Adams, Exile Brewing from Iowa, and other fall seasons. Also, make sure to download the new N Street Drive-In app to order online and to set up delivery right to your front door. And don't forget their top-notch Crowler fill system. N Street Drive-In, your one-stop beverage stop at 1801 O Street.
The party is back on in Lincoln this fall, and there's no party like the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show at Tipsy Tina's in the Haymarket. Join the whole ticket crew for 2.5 hours of pregame coverage before every home and away game this football season as they get you ready for the game. It's the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show at Tipsy Tina's in the Haymarket. Sponsored by Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping, Tractor Supply Distribution Center, T.O. Haas Tire and Auto, Planet Fitness, Barnwood and Leather, and Vitalize Health.
Action Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electric has been serving Lincoln and Southeast Nebraska for over 50 years. They've been a trusted name to deliver honest, quality services you can count on. It's always important to know someone you can trust, whether it's for your home or your business. Action is well established and offers convenience and reliability, always committed to a job done right. Give them a call or visit their website at actionlincoln.com. Action, your proud sponsor of the Ticket Postgame Show.
Last year, the average starting pay for an SCC truck driver training program graduate was $44,720. Southeast Community College can now make that a reality in only 8 weeks with its professional truck driver training class starting in October. SCC's fleet of 12 trucks and professional instructors will prepare you for a new career. You'll end the course with your Class A CDL. Learn more about SCC's professional truck driver training class at southeast.edu/truckdriver. SCC, your path to possible.
Back to the Husker Afterparty Postgame Show. Brought to you by Southeast Community College on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Yeah, the goal, obviously, short yardage run play, trying to get the first down. I'm not going to stand up here and make excuses for myself. Can't be careless with the football. I thought the play was over. I was standing as I'm standing right now, and I thought it was done. But regardless of that fact, I feel a lot of responsibility and can't make plays like that hurt our team.
I always like that. I'm not going to make any excuses, but here's my excuse.
It's hard, man.
But it is hard to listen to.
Take me through the last play. Well, kind of thought it was over. And then I fumbled, and it was the worst thing that's ever happened on planet Earth. He was trying to push 2,000 pounds worth of humanity. Did he mention that? Did he mention how he should have slid even though he was running into, I don't know.
He didn't say he was fighting for extra yards, but he thought the play was over.
Yep.
Did he hear the whistle?
Was there? We've got some comments that people thought they heard whistles. I didn't.
I don't know.
I don't think there was a whistle. It just seems like there should have been a whistle. Maybe you like subliminally heard a whistle.
Those are always hard too because the piles you let them kind of push. You can get
especially because he had gotten the first down, right? Like
which was the goal as we saw it.
So
right?
usually you just kind of give up.
Yeah,
but no excuses.
But definitely hold on to the ball. I mean, there's also that. So
the guy came through and made a nice play.
Yeah. Yep, and doomed Nebraska back to their 3-4 record, and unfortunately for the Huskers, they don't have another game this big for a while. They just got to take care of business the next two games out.
It's Minnesota by Purdue, right?
Yep.
These are 3 weeks where you gotta win the bye week too.
Yeah,
don't forget about that. But yeah, you gotta win these next two. That's for sure. Back to the phone. So we got Sledge on the line. Sledge, what's up?
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, good.
So, first of all, I want to thank you guys for streaming this through the internet over YouTube.
You're welcome.
I've been, for both pregame, postgame, through the week. It makes me feel at home. I'm calling from North Carolina here.
Oh, nice.
And second ball, I hit the bottom of the bottle about the beginning of the fourth quarter. So bear with me a little bit. But
all right.
This team, like, God darn it.
Yeah, there you go.
So
nice.
close.
Yeah.
They're so close. And it just, like, it's as much as these little things are just kicking our butts and just bringing us down, at the same time, it's a fun team to watch. And I don't know, it's been years since I've felt this excited about a team, even with this record. Like, I know at the end of the day, the record is what matters. We got to get to that dang bowl game here. We got to keep pushing forward, but they're right there. Adrian's awesome. I know he fumbled. I know, there was a crazy interception, but they are, gosh, they're right there. And at the same time, as frustrating as it is, I mean, I didn't sit down the entire second half, just chilling in my apartment. Like, I couldn't sit down, but it was, they're just right there. They got it. Anyways, man, you guys keep doing what you do. I don't know what else to say, man. You guys have a good night.
Thanks, Sledge. We're on the kind of same page as you are there. I was at the game for the first half and then came back here, and there was a good amount of pacing when we were watching the game here in the late going there. And it really did feel like it was going to happen. I know Frost kind of echoed those thoughts tonight. It felt like it was going to be the night, and it was not. Bottom line, it was not.
Yeah, didn't quite happen for the Huskers. And again, I'm glad to hear some people stick up for Adrian, because I think that this team is much better with him. It's interesting if you kind of look at the future. I know some people are already moving on to next year. They're going to lose a lot of guys.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to kind of think, is this their best opportunity in the next 2 years at least to turn things around? But it's also very strange as a Nebraska fan, because we are as settled in to trying to get to 6 wins as you could ever be. And this is something you wouldn't have seen, obviously, as a Nebraska fan 5 years ago, to think that anybody at any time would be okay with 3-4 and 1-3 in the conference. But it is where you are. And again, I think more than anything, a lot of people in the stadiums rocking and all that, because you can see the progress that's being made. You can see this is actually a pretty solid team that has an opportunity to make a move. And maybe with a few of these opponents, I mean, I know maybe one Northwestern game won't get it done, but if they really take it to Minnesota or really pile on Purdue, it will reinforce our ideas that this team is coming along and making more strides than the record would indicate.
Yep, 402-464-5685. Once again, the Honda of Lincoln hotline and the Sartor Heyman text line. Connor Happer, Jake Bachhoven with you on the Husker Afterparty Postgame show. We now have an ending time of TBD. I don't know. As long as you guys, our lines have been full all night. As long as you guys keep calling, we'll try and be your therapist. I am like a lot of people where I don't have a ton of words, but we'll be here for you guys. Let's go to Tommy on the Honda of Lincoln hotline. Good evening, Tommy. Tommy,
hey, how's it going?
Hey, Tommy, there you are. I almost cut you off there, but how are you?
Oh, don't do that. We're doing good.
Good.
Need some therapy.
Okay.
Super happy, super frustrated.
Yeah.
You feel me?
I feel you.
Okay. So
your feelings are okay.
Yeah, I know. All the haters of Martinez can probably shut up by now.
Yeah, you'd hope so. But the late mistake is that's what they're piling on.
It's hard, man. It goes on both sides.
Yeah, I know. But okay. I love the way we played. Just super disappointed in the result, as I'm sure everybody else is. But I would like to stay positive.
Good.
And I love the way everybody played, like Kante on the defensive side. Lockdown, great.
Cam was good. The defense was, good enough tonight, good enough to win for sure.
Yeah. then you just, yeah, I know. You start picking apart everything else, and I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it, man.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Tommy. I echo your thoughts. I most closely identify with.
And you kind of just pick apart like, well, that guy did well, didn't he? And Kim did 11. They have the stats on 11 tackles, 3 pass deflections.
They all would have been big plays too.
Oh yeah, I mean they kind of went after him a little bit, to be honest. But and he hasn't played nearly as well as he had tonight or toward the end of last season. So it's good to see him get back to that form. For what it's worth, some of the other guys on defense, Luke Reimer, continue his great season with 12 tackles. And we mentioned it before, but Nick Henrich had 15 tackles. That's a heck of a game.
Yeah, he was pretty good tonight. There's no doubt about that. Back to the phones. We got Tom on the line. Hey, Tom.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Hey, pretty good.
I'm about one call late. I'm a North Carolina fan stuck in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Oh, reverse.
Yeah. Texted before, haven't called, but North Carolina fan. We lost today.
Yeah, that's ugly to
I
Florida
wanted
State.
to throw some positivity to Nebraska.
Okay.
I live in Nebraska. You have to know Nebraska football if you live in, especially in Lincoln.
It's true. It's a lot.
But most of the losses for Nebraska for the past years have been to subpar teams, crap teams. I mean, they've been fighting to just beat those, but they're putting up great games against top-ranked teams. The improvements there, they just don't have the wins yet. And they're so close. As much as I'm a North Carolina fan and don't want to see Nebraska win, I kind of want to see Nebraska win now.
Hey, Tom, I'm curious. So as a casual observer, then do you watch Nebraska and think this is a pretty good team?
I've lived in Nebraska pretty much my entire life. Somehow, still North Carolina fan. I was alive for the 90s when they were just amazing. I watched them fall hard, which is kind of sad, but just seeing how it's been hyped for all these years with Frost, it's been hyped, even nationally. To see them finally actually compete against good teams kind of shows I'm a football fan. It shows me that they're getting there. They might not be there. The Husker fan base hates it when they lose. I understand completely. My team loses all the time. But they're getting there. They're not over the hump yet. But, I mean, compared to the last 5 years, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, you have to see the improvement. You have to see where it's headed. I mean, last year at this time, would you guys think that a top 10 team would come to Nebraska and it would be a 32-29 victory? Would you even consider that to be possible?
Yeah, maybe, Tom. And thanks for the call. That's a good place to that's a good question to ask, I suppose, because I always thought, for the last year or two that shot has kind of been in Nebraska's bag, but the consistency of it was what I was kind of worried about. I had no doubt tonight that Nebraska was going to show up. I knew that they weren't going to get torched on national TV tonight, and they didn't. And that's not the end all be all. Like, that doesn't do it all itself. Like, you still want to win these football games. But it's a step in the right direction as far as that's concerned. I felt like in the first half of that game, and especially in the first quarter, and Michigan got a little loose there at the end of the second and scored a regrettable touchdown at the end of the first half. But I thought that Nebraska looked every bit as good as them. And really that kind of played out all night. And I actually wonder what Harbaugh kind of had to say about Nebraska after the game. And not that matters completely. And Nick, that's okay. We'll get there eventually. But, they looked shot for shot just as good as them tonight.
Well, and it's not the first time that we've seen this against a top 10 opponent now. I mean, Michigan State, Oklahoma, and Michigan. I know you're getting frustrated about getting close with the teams, but it's 3. I mean, this is no fluke. You're pretty close to being as good and not looking outmatched against a lot of the top 10. So that makes me believe like more of the top 10, like in Iowa or Cincinnati, you get on that field. I think they'd play close games with those teams. So, I don't, that's where you get to the point that Nebraska just isn't that far. And eventually I understand it does have to get into the win column, but again, this, it's not a win. So it's an L and people are going to be frustrated, but in a way it is a win in that it reinforces the fact that you're not that far away a third time. Usually you just want to prove it once, and that's what they did in the Michigan State game, but it's not easy. I don't know how many teams across the country could play 3 top 10 teams and lose by a total of 13 points. Not that many. And a lot of them would lose by a lot more. Now, some of them might get an upset here and there. Don't get me wrong, but that's not an easy accomplishment. So I know that no loss, there's no moral victories here, but that's actually somewhat impressive. And it showed again tonight.
To believe that they lost all 3 of them. Given exactly the way that each of those games played out, impossible to, I mean, especially that Michigan State one.
Oh yeah.
I mean, impossible to believe that Nebraska lost that game, and they did. And tonight you look up and down the stat column and it's about even and on always. Michigan ran it a little bit better. They had the same amount of penalties. Michigan's 26 first downs compared to Nebraska's 20. Nebraska was a little worse on third downs. Michigan was 6 of 15, Nebraska 3 of 11, but they got a 4th down conversion. Turnovers were 2-1. Obviously the fumble at the end kind of making the difference there. Each team had a sack, 5 tackles for loss for Michigan compared to 3 for Nebraska. Michigan outgained Nebraska only by 29 yards. That's even. And for Michigan State, it was lopsided in Nebraska's favor. It's not enough. They're 3-4. It stinks, and you're wondering what is going to be that thing to get them over the hump, and you're just going to have to keep on waiting at this point. Steve's on the line. Hey, Steve.
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
Another hard loss. I mean, the crowd was great. We unfortunately sat by some Michigan people. As soon as Nebraska got the lead, their fans got up and left. I'm like, well, they must have dinner date or something. But as far as Terry, he can quit calling as far as I'm concerned. He has no idea what football. Martinez, the fumble, we didn't need it, no. But we all know Martinez was one of the few on that team that could bring that team back. Everybody's bagging on Martinez. They need to get off that. I mean, who could make the plays to make the team come back like he did? There's very few on that team that could do it. If they think the second team quarterback could do it, he ought to be playing, and he's not playing. So, Terry, you're showing your ignorance that you don't know anything about football because, when I drove home from the game listening to you, I was getting my temperature back up again. But the crowd was great. The atmosphere was great. Another close loss. It was tough. The kids played hard. But all I have to say is, they keep fighting, and that's a good sign. I mean, the defense was wore out. We could see that they were tired.
Yeah, for sure.
But the crowd was still loud. I mean, it was probably one of the loudest I've ever been there. Maybe when we played Oklahoma and beat them in 78, it was probably louder, but that was probably the only time. But the kids keep fighting. I mean, I was disappointed we lost. I don't have a voice left, but, go Big Red.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Steve. Appreciate it. Once again, 402-464-5685. Yeah, I mean, on the Martinez thing, it feels like this is every post-game show, by the way. It's like there's Martinez here, there's Martinez here, and I'm like somewhere in the middle, and we have to kind of sift through that entire thing. I'll say this. For how Nebraska's set up, I wouldn't want many other quarterbacks in the Big Ten. He needs to do a lot. He needs to do a lot with his legs. He needs to do enough with his arm. You would love to have him more consistently hit the easy ones at times. But he certainly does enough to keep Nebraska in games. And like I've said before, he elevates Nebraska to a certain extent. What do they look like if Cade McNamara is their quarterback? Well, he probably takes about 7 sacks tonight. Yeah. I don't know.
And a lot more earlier in the year.
Right. That's for sure. So, it's always that game with Martinez. One more call. and then we'll decide if we're going to be done or not. All right. Tom is next. Hey, Tom.
What's going on, fellas? You hear me?
Yep, gotcha.
Yep. Awesome. So I just want to call in and say that I am super excited about Scott Frost's play calling. I feel like he's just putting our players in great positions to make plays. The motion that we have going on from the receivers reminds me a lot of what Devontae Smith was doing last year with Alabama. And I just want to say the options off of those things. I mean, I'm excited to see where this offense can go. And I think that has just been completely ignored because of the fact that we're not getting these wins. But I don't know. I feel like when I watch games, Scott Frost is putting our players in positions to win. The execution isn't there, but the motion, the creativity of the offense, maybe we didn't see in the first half, but in the second half it was there. And for everybody that says, oh, on that last play where we just threw it deep to Toure, I mean, man, give your best player an opportunity to go out and make a play. Threw it off the back foot. Martinez does that a little bit, but I'm just excited to see what this offense can come, kind of morph into as Scott Frost has kind of changed the offense for a while. So
yeah,
I don't know what your guys' thoughts are on that, but I'm excited.
No, for sure. And Tom, I agree with you. In the first half is kind of what it was, but it was probably pretty clear going into this game from the coaching staff's perspective. Like, it's a scheme. It's a scheme game. It's a design game, one of those, because Nebraska didn't have a discernible advantage up front against Michigan as they had in their previous game against Northwestern and as they've had in their couple other wins this year. So you have to creatively come up with ways, whether it's timing and finding the right play in the right moment, or, understanding what they're trying to do to you and where they're bringing pressure from and having screens that counteract that stuff, or ditching the option when it's not working. And I thought that was a good move tonight. If there's one thing that we know this coaching staff knows how to do, there's more, but they love coming up with creative designs like that. And it was that night because Nebraska needed that. They were good enough where they weren't getting mauled, but they weren't good enough where it was just like, let's run at them and see what happens. So that's where scheme comes into play. And I'm with you, Tom. I felt like they were in the right positions in a lot of different times tonight. All right. Final call for phone calls, 402-464-5685. We're going to come back and have, 10 or 15 minutes here on the other side. But I do want to hear from you guys if you have anything left. 402-464-5685. The Husker Afterparty Postgame Show, brought to you by Southeast Community College and N Street Drive-In. Excuse me, I'm losing a voice here too. Connor Happer, Jake Bachhoven with you. We'll come back. More up next after this.
Action Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electric has been serving Lincoln and Southeast Nebraska for over 50 years. They've been a trusted name to deliver honest, quality services you can count on. It's always important to know someone you can trust, whether it's for your home or your business. Action is well established and offers convenience and reliability, always committed to a job done right. Give them a call or visit their website at actionlincoln.com. Action, your proud sponsor of the Ticket Postgame Show.
Welcome to today's episode of The Great Unknowns. Last time, we talked about why chickens can't just cross the road in peace. Today's topic is the great unknowns of the future. Like, am I ready for what life throws at me? Well, that answer is easy. Just call a local State Farm agent. State Farm agents will help you plan for the what-ifs in life so you know what to expect if the unexpected happens. When you want the real deal, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Call your local State Farm agent, Vinny Krekak, at 402-474-1173.
Hey, it's Sean Callahan, and football season is here, and Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill has food and drink specials every night for all the games. Enjoy jumbo pork tenderloin for $8.99 and 90-cent wings for Monday Night Football, or Comfort Thursday Night Football with chicken fried chicken, steak, or pork for just $9.99 and $20 Coors Light aluminum buckets. Watch college football on Saturdays with an Eggie sandwich for $9.99 and Coors Light specials, and catch NFL Sundays with Bloody Marys and more. That's Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill.
Build your network, experience local business, and find out what local merchants have to offer all in one day. Visit the 2021 Lincoln Expo on Tuesday, October 13th at Pinnacle Bank Arena. Safely discover local business and shop local at the 2021 Lincoln Expo from 10 a.m. until 3 p.m.
Another packed fall sports season means it's time to get to N Street Drive-In to fill up on all your beverage needs. This month's specials are Sam Adams, Exile Brewing from Iowa, and other fall seasons. Also, make sure to download the new N Street Drive-In app to order online and to set up delivery right to your front door. And don't forget their top-notch Crowler fill system. N Street Drive-In, your one-stop beverage stop at 1801 O Street.
You could celebrate a Nebraska football win with chips or wings and your favorite beverage, but Beatrice Bakery has all sorts of cakes to celebrate all victories this fall. Coffee cake, breakfast bread, artisan cakes, and especially Grandma's fruit cake. No one remembers who brought the chips, but everyone remembers who brought the cake. Make your parties memorable and your Mondays at the office better with cakes from Beatrice Bakery. They ship nationwide. Check out BeatriceBakery.com, proud sponsors of the Nebraska Shrine Bowl. Welcome to our world of yum.
Last year, the average starting pay for an SCC truck driver training program graduate was $44,720. Southeast Community College can now make that a reality in only 8 weeks with its professional truck driver training class starting in October. SCC's fleet of 12 trucks and professional instructors will prepare you for a new career. You'll end the course with your Class A CDL. Learn more about SCC's professional truck driver training class at southeast.edu/truckdriver. SCC, your path to possible.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. Back to the Husker Afterparty Postgame Show. Brought to you by Southeast Community College on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Because this team loves each other. They love coaches love them. This is a tightly knit team, and gosh, I'm proud of them. We've come so far. I thought tonight was the night. In games past, when we've gotten ahead, I got the sense that everybody was thinking what's going to go wrong, and I didn't feel that at all tonight. It was, defense did a great job, and then offense answers, and we're down 4 or whatever it was, and man, that was a great drive the offense put together to get it down the field and punch it in with 7 minutes, and you're right there, and you just need to play. We'll get there. I'm having a lot of fun coaching these guys this year, and I'm hurting for them more than anything, but I'm so happy for them and proud of how far they've come.
Scott Frost, after the game, pretty much sums it up pretty well right there with just, I don't know, this entire season. And I thought the little anecdote about how usually when Nebraska's been in this situation, it's been like, man, what's going to go wrong here? What's going to go wrong? I did not feel that. I did not feel that tonight. I mentioned that earlier. I never really been more confident. It was weird. I didn't even think about it. They're up. Or they're tied with 3 minutes left. They have the ball in 3 timeouts. I'm like, we're winning this thing. Like they're going to do it. The way that they had been moving the ball the entire second half, punching in drives. And I guess that thought always is going to linger in the back of your head, or maybe it should. I don't know, but didn't have enough tonight.
Well, yeah, and I was a little bit worried about it just because of the past and the history that it's been there.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was just, part of that I think is not being down, or it just felt like this thing's going to overtime. Nebraska, because you don't have the most confidence in your field goal kicker. I thought that maybe they'd,
You think they were going to score it with 3 minutes left?
I thought they were at least going to get in a field goal position. So I thought that there was a good opportunity they were going to have a chance. But I didn't know if the field goal kicker was. I mean, he was nervous on the sidelines, and he was pacing the sidelines.
Yeah.
But in any case,
little nervous.
Yeah, Connor Culp hasn't had a great year. Would have been great for a great redemption story if it had been able to hit. The game winner there, but I don't know. At this point, it's got to creep into your head next time, doesn't it? Every
time it doesn't happen, it gets more prominent, I suppose.
Yeah, it's just, to me, it's just what's going to happen for Nebraska to lose it. It's just, and it's just a frustration, and that's what you're going to use that word all week. Because I just keep thinking of how silly we look every week. We get up in the office, we're watching the game, we're getting jacked, we're getting excited. There's an opportunity, and it just somehow, it's going to come down, and Nebraska's not going to win it. But again, this is, we're just past the waypoint of the season. The story's not written completely. So they still plenty of opportunity to go out there and get a huge victory. And again, everybody's minimal goal is that bowl game. And at least if they do that, there's a lot of progress being made. And you have to always remember too, that this is one of the most difficult schedules in the country. So, it's not every team has to play 3 top 10 teams by now.
Welcome to Sunday, by the way, here on the Husker Afterparty Postgame Show. 93.7 The Ticket and ticketfm.com. Connor Happer, Jake Bachhoven with you, taking you into Sunday morning. Let's make some eggs, Bach.
Here we go. A lot of good NFL action today.
That's right. Should be a big day in the NFL. You just roll right into that. Eric is next on the Honda of Lincoln Hotline. Hey, Eric. Good morning.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Pretty good.
Just trying to bring in some more positivity here.
Go ahead.
I spent all day. I'm kind of a Rico. Can't sit still all day. So coming into the game, I was pacing around all day, feeling super positive. And like, my wife won't watch the games with me because I'm this way, like him. I found myself running upstairs telling her, "Oh my God, we just got a pick. It's great. It's great. It's great." And then I walked back downstairs and something bad happened.
Yeah, that's kind of how it's been, huh?
Yeah, it kind of is. But I'm still pumped. Hard to explain. I'm still hyped for this team. I think we're better.
It's a tough one. It's a tough one, Eric, and thanks for the call. But I once again, I echo those thoughts tonight. Shout out to all you guys with the courage to call into the postgame show tonight, because it's not an easy one to, because you get to this point, it's like, hey, I feel good, I guess, but wait a minute, maybe I feel bad. Wait a minute. No,
I don't know how to feel.
Actually, I think I feel good again. I'm not sure. And you could just, ride that roller coaster.
Just hope if you DVR'd the game, just go watch the third quarter. Just go have some fun.
Yeah.
You deserve it. Just go watch the third quarter again, and that's it.
In the end, it was the Michigan Spirit.
That's right.
That did us
Herb
in tonight.
Street knew all along.
Unfortunately, Kirk Herbstreit knew that it was the Michigan Spirit that was going to get them over to the top tonight. Nebraska, well, depending on what you got them at number-wise,
yeah,
did they cover? If you got them at 2.5, they did, and if you got them at 3.5, they did.
Yeah. It's amazing to me how Vegas does that. And it was funny because all day long too, as commentators were preparing for the game, does Vegas know something? Does Vegas know something? And yes, they did.
The answer is always yes.
Yes.
I'm trying to find out on my rundown from Friday what we actually picked it at, because I'm going off of that for our pick sheet. So I think we had it at 3.5, which is great news for which means Nebraska is now it was 3, so that is the first push of the year.
Oh, there you
on
go.
Picks.
Nice.
Shout out Nebraska.
I've seen
Doesn't feel great.
I've seen a few questions about the JoJo Doman interception too. That one was not going to be an interception. The Michigan quarterback decided to throw that up because a Nebraska player jumped off sides. He would not have thrown it up into triple coverage.
Correct.
If it was so. I mean,
free play.
So yeah, so it's not like that play was going to happen anyways. That's why when JoJo got it, I mean, he knew it as well. So
yeah,
it's not like that the offsides by Nebraska negated an interception. The interception happened because they were just wise about it. You take a shot deep if you get a guy jumping.
So where do you go now? We got a few more minutes here. We'll set the tone for next week. It's Minnesota week. You got to deal with that whole thing, whatever that is.
Plenty of Minnesota bites.
PJ Fleck, the broken chair thing.
Oh yeah, $5 bits of broken chair trophy.
Yeah,
one of my favorites.
And Minnesota was off this week, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
they had a bye, so they did not get to show how bad they are this week.
Hey,
just trying to get the.
They coming off that win against Purdue? Yeah,
trying to get the rivalry juices flowing, Bach.
Oh, there you go.
It's always a fun trip to Minnesota. The question is for Nebraska, how do you pick yourself up again after this? I said it after the Michigan State game. And it's the same deal, but I just feel like Nebraska's going to keep getting after it. I don't think this team has much quit in them. We'll see how. I never say never, but I think the hot seat conversation is probably died down
for now, as long as you don't lose to Minnesota,
Minnesota and Purdue, right?
Right.
That kind of creeps back up on you pretty quick, but I think that's generally gone for now.
It almost just should be. I mean, this team is clearly the best that's played under Frost. It'd be a weird time to give up on the Frost era.
I think so too, and clearly he's got guys bought in the locker room. 402-464-5685. All right, one more call on the Husker After Party Postgame Show. Brian's on the line. Hey, Brian.
Hey guys, I was at the game with my son and stuff, and what was Damian offsides then actually on that interception?
Correct. Yes.
And it looked like he was, or was it just bad call?
No, he was definitely offsides.
Yeah, that's why McNamara threw it deep, is because he jumped him offside. They knew. Everybody on the field knew.
And then I think like the other big thing was when they just drove it down that first quarter and didn't score on those 4 plays. That was just big, huge backbreaker.
Maybe. I mean, you would have liked to see him punch it in. And thanks for the call, Brian. It, like, retroactively, we've got a couple comments about that tonight. Like, you take the 3 there. Obviously, you would have loved to have the 3 because you lost by 3. But definitely would have liked to punch it in. I don't know if that was the backbreaker, though. It definitely could have been a springboard moment for Nebraska, but you weren't able to punch it in. That's a good defense. You give them their credit, and you throw your defense out there. They got to stop, right? Coming back on the other side.
Yeah. That was part of the field position battle earlier.
It was 0-0 after the first quarter. It was Moon.
You know what really hurt after that was the fact that the punter punted it down to the 1 yard line and Nebraska wasn't able to quite get it, and then it was a touchback.
Yeah.
So, that would have been part of the whole field position battle, but eventually Michigan just got decent. Not great. It's still at the 20, 25, whatever it is. And, but, it could have been down to the 1, and you would have kept that battle going. But, they had to go for it on 4th just to get down to the goal, goal at the red zone. So, you can be upset that they didn't get it on 4th down or they didn't kick a field goal, but you also have to give them credit for, having the goal to go for it on 4th down earlier in that drive and picking it up.
This is almost unbelievable. And when you just think about it, Sledge from the text line says, there are 12 undefeated teams left in college football. Nebraska's lost to 3 of them.
Yeah.
And they should have beat all 3 of them.
Could have beat
Oklahoma, maybe not, but could have beaten and had a game in your hand, had a game ripped away from you against Michigan State, or dropped, or however, fumbled like Kevin's chili on The Office, whatever that might have been at Michigan State. And then, dropped a 50-50 game tonight and probably dropped a 75-25 game in Oklahoma. And that's the story.
Yeah, just keep adding on. That's the feeling. But again, I think that Nebraska fans should at least take a little bit in pride in the fact that, it's one thing to lose to 3 top 10 opponents or 3 of the 12 undefeated opponents, but it's another thing to take them all right to the edge. And 2 of those games were on the road. I don't think there's many teams across the country that, having played those 3 games, would have only lost by combined 13 points.
We're in for an interesting week again. And then we're going to Minnesota.
That's right.
On to Minnesota, right? Frost said at the beginning of this week, they basically see it as they have 3 2-game seasons 3 times over the rest of the way. You've started this 2-game season 0-1. You need to split it. Then a bye week, Purdue and Ohio State. Bye week, Wisconsin and Iowa. It doesn't get really easier, but the standard is still the same. Jake Bachhoven, Connor Happer with you. Thanks for listening tonight on the Husker After Party Postgame Show as Nebraska falls at home to Michigan. We'll talk to you guys bright and early on Monday, 6 a.m. See you.
The dangers of secondhand smoke are